how to find how to find your patron saint, how to find out who your patron saint is, how to start working with a patron saint. Welcome. If these are questions that you've been asking yourself or asking me and I haven't replied, I apologize. Here's the video where I answer those questions. All right. I put together a little list. You might want to grab some paper and pen, and let's get into it. All right. So, how to find your patron saint. How to find out who your patron saint is. I tried to divide it into you initiating or ways that they come into your life. And there's a lot of crossover, so it's not hard and fast. Like this division of this list is not hard and fast. There's overlap. And I'm going to get confused if I point out where the overlap is. So bear with me. I'm going to start with you initiating. And when I get to ways they come to you, if I repeat myself, be kind. All right. You initiate. So I'm going to be speaking from the point of view of an Italian folk magic practitioner. I'm Italian American. My parents were Italian immigrants who immigrated to Canada and America in the early 1950s. And I was born in America and grew up in both America and Canada at around pretty much equally at the same time. So that's my practice is informed by that experience. Your practice will be informed by your family and experience. I will be speaking about patron saints. Everything that I'm going to say about patron saints, you can extrapolate and apply it to deity. So if you're pagan, you can apply this to deity. If you are a religious person, you can apply that to your specific religion. If you are not religious, you can still apply it to your practice, provided, of course, that you believe in, entities that are, spirits. Oh my God! See, I told you I was going to get confused. But what I'm trying to say is that this information that I'm going to share with you is applicable. It's even applicable if you're an animist. It's applicable if you work mainly with animal spirits. So it's applicable if you work with ancestors. Now, I'm going to just a little side note about why I work. My practice, my personal practice is very strongly informed by my ethnic background. Just like your practice may be informed by your ethnic background. My practice is ancestral, but I don't work with my ancestors. I do not work with ancestors I'm related to, because I've touched upon it in other videos, and I'm going to touch upon it here too. Your relatives that are dead may not necessarily have your best interest at heart. Keep that in mind. It's not like that for everybody, but not everybody's family's love and light, and not everybody, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm one of those people. My family is not all love and light. Far from it. But here we are. Let's begin. This is from the point of view of you initiating, and like I said, if there's overlap with them, the saint initiating with you, and I will keep the language very simple. This is Italian folk magic, the perspective I'm speaking from, the context, and they will be saints. All right. No matter what they are saints. Okay. in people of Italian origin. And I can only speak for my ethnic group because it's the one I know the best. But other ethnicities also have this. There's a family patron. The family patron would be if you have a, I'll give you the example and then you can apply it to your life, okay? And my family's patron is Saint Anthony of Padua. In my book, I tell the story of my paternal grandmother that I'm named after, who had already 4 children, and she was pregnant for the 5th time, and she was a little freaked out because she was over the age of 40, and this is like in the 30s in a small village in the mountains of Italy. You know what I mean? It's not like today, right? And so she went to pray to Saint Anthony, and she had gone up to a statue of Saint Anthony, and she prayed to him and said, "Oh, Saint Anthony, I'm like freaked out. I'm pregnant. I'm in my 40s, and please make everything go smoothly." And she asked him for the baby that he was holding in the statue. And the family story goes, the legend goes, that when my dad was born, he looked just like the bambinello that St. Anthony was holding in the statue. All right. So he's a family patron because he was my maternal grandmother's patron saint. She named my father after that saint, so his name is Antonio, or was Antonio because he's no longer living. And when I must have been like 7 years old or something like that. We were in Italy that summer, my dad and I. And I was 7 years old. I would spend my days at the convent during the day, like summer school, except it was at the convent. And one of the nuns there who taught my dad in nursery school came to me and gave me a little plastic statue, and one of those, it was a little plastic statue, like those dashboard statues, right? In a plastic bell jar kind of container. She handed it to me. She says, "This is Saint Anthony," introducing me to Saint Anthony, the saint, and saying, "This is your family's patron, and that's who your dad is named after." So there, family patron. Big long story. Family patron. That's what the example. Now, ancestral hometown patrons. Again, I'm speaking from an Italian point of view because that's what I am. But those of you from other ethnicities will recognize something here. In Italy, every town has their patron saint. You're starting out on your journey in Italian folk magic, and you want to discover who your patron is. You want to initiate a connection. Find out who your ancestral hometown patron saint is. So, an example would be if you know that your Italian ancestors came from a certain town. My God, people, we live in an incredible age. Google that town in Italy, find out who the saint is. It's that easy. It's up there for grabs. It's all up there for free, this information. It's incredible. So maybe you want to know who the patron saint is. You go, you find the town. That town will have a church. Most likely that church will be the church of that patron saint, whether it be San Rocco, whether it be San Eustachio, whatever, you know what I mean? And that could be your patron saint. Research that saint. Find out on the internet. Again, it's all free, people. It's all free. It's all public domain. Anything having to do with saints is public domain. Remember that. This stuff is ancient. This information is ancient. Look them up. Find images of them, and carry on from there. Maybe you don't know what your ancestral hometown is. So what? Patron saint of where you were born. I'll give you an example. I was born in America. Patron saint of America is the Blessed Virgin, Mother Mary. If you didn't know that, well, there you go. Now you do. Patron saint of where you live. I live in Canada. Patron saint of Canada, Saint Joseph. If you didn't know that, now you know. Saint Joseph, husband of the Blessed Virgin and foster father of Jesus. Patron saint of your occupation. If you are a police officer in the military, your patron saint, the patron saint of police officers in the military is Saint Michael Archangel. Find it, and you can just, again, people, the Google is incredible. Use the Google. Consult the Oracle. Plug it in. What's your occupation? Patron saint of tailors, patron saint of nurses, patron saint of anything, and you will find them. If you don't jive with the patron saint of your occupation, look up the patron saint of your talent. What is your talent? Are you a musician? Patron saint of musicians. Are you a singer? Patron saint of singers. Are you a painter, a poet? Patron saint of all those things. Look it up. And you will find often more than one. Here's one. And this is the one, it's funny because when I wrote it down, it's not the first one I wrote, but this is, typically people initiate a relationship with what turns out to be their patron saint because of a struggle. Search the patron saint of your struggle. If you're going through cancer treatment, patron saint of people going through cancer treatment. Patron saint of if you're needing to pray to a saint because you need help with alcoholism, the patron saint of that. You know what I mean? So whatever your talent is, and whatever your struggle is, and whatever your occupation is, these are all fabulous ways to find your patron saint. Another less commonly talked about way of connecting to initiate with a patron saint is a patron saint whose early life resonates with you or resonates with your life. If you are a person of privilege and you're wanting to develop a more spiritual life, you know what I mean? And you're a person of privilege and you look around and you live in excess and you don't know, you want something more out of life. There's patron saints. They started out as people of privilege of their time. They were the sons and daughters of rich people. So there's that. Those are, and for you initiating to find a patron saint, it's limitless. All right, it's limitless. It's as vast as your imagination. Now ways, so this is how you initiate, right? But then there's people who've reported to me, and I'm always grateful for people's stories. I freaking love people's stories. Is ways that a patron saint has initiated a relationship with them. So this is where the saint initiates the relationship, and it could be very direct, and it could be indirect. Very direct is through apparitions and dreams. The saint comes to you in apparitions or dreams and announces that they are in your life, that they are in your spirit court. Another way that they come to you is, and this is where we start going into overlap, right? Family patrons. Family patrons are inherited. You inherit a family patron. an example would be I inherited St. Anthony as a patron. An ancestral patron. Again, having to do with just you find out that you are of Irish ancestry and you didn't know. Well, St. Bridget would potentially be an ancestral patron. The next one is a little indirect, and I love this one because I found a patron this way. You find an image or an object that has that saint. In 2019, out of the blue, I'm at a thrift store and I came across a little statuette, and it wasn't a saint that was part of my my spirit court yet. It wasn't one of my consultants, but I felt drawn to it and I bought it. It was like $2, right? This is like thrift store stuff. And it was Saint Dymphna. Saint Dymphna is the patron saint of people who struggle with mental illness. And let me tell you that summer, I understood clearly, because of people close to me that were struggling with mental health concerns and issues, why Saint Dymphna had announced herself to me. Also, my mom, I've mentioned before, it's not a secret that my mom suffered from mental illness her whole life. So that's one way, you could find a holy card in the street, in a puddle. In a puddle, an example would be finding a little saint medal, a keychain, finding a rosary with a saint on it, because there are many rosaries that are dedicated to a specific saint. I have one that is a Padre Pio rosary. So, just finding objects, things. People give you something. Another one that's even more indirect is you could be in the middle of a crisis and you're on the street and you're going for a walk and you look up and the street name the street you have to cross is named after a saint. I've had this experience where, it was my personal experience. I had this experience where someone told me a story that they were having a hell of a time. They were going through something really, really challenging in their lives. And as they were coming to meet me for a coffee, they stopped at the intersection that they had to cross because the light was red. And they looked up and they saw they were at the corner of St. Mark. That was the street that they were crossing. And they looked up St. Mark because it stayed with them. And it was very fitting that they should notice that street sign, St. Mark, that day of all days when they've crossed that street like 100 times before, minimum, right? So it's not an exhaustive list, right? But I thought this will get you going a little bit. It'll give you something to work with. So now you want something tangible because, there's a reason we're folk magicians. We're tangible people. We live in the real world. We like our magic and our spirituality to be tangible. Places where you can find stuff related to your patron saint. The first place is absolutely free, the internet. You go on the internet, you could look up in search engine images of your patron saint, print them up, and do all kinds of stuff with them. I am actually going to be doing a little craft video. Don't get excited. I'm not really that talented, but I can. But you probably are, and therefore, if I show you what I do, you can make something incredible with it. With what I do. Okay, I digress. So the internet, printing up images from the internet, printing up, you can make your own little patron saint novena booklet by printing up an image or images that you like, that you find on the internet, printing up prayers, the novena prayer to that saint, printing up their history, their life, all this stuff. Make yourself a little booklet, consecrate it, and it becomes a really important spiritual object in your life. You could go to Catholic gift shops. Holy cards are cheap. And if you want to have a nice holy card, they sell them laminated, not laminated. You can get that at a Catholic gift shop. If you're someone who wants a rosary, you can find rosaries. For the, there's a lot of saints that you can find rosaries that are dedicated to them. Thrift stores. Thrift stores are amazing. Go to the church, to the Catholic thrift stores. Thrift stores attached to Catholic churches, thrift stores attached to Catholic hospitals, because there you're going to find a wealth of stuff. I'm sad that in my town we used to have one Catholic thrift store, and it's gone. It closed, right? And I was so sad. So we don't have any where I live. But if you do in your town, hit those. You never know. You might come across a statue, a rosary, a sacramental, something that in that moment that saint is reaching out to you. And use bookstores. I'm telling you, use bookstores. You could find, I've never been to a used bookstore or secondhand bookstore that didn't have a copy of Lives of the Saints. Ever. And and going back to thrift stores, there's some thrift stores that will also have these books, right? So that's wonderful. Okay. So now, I thought I would tack on offerings. So just recently on my Instagram, if you follow me there, I posted an answer to a question I get all the time. And I get that question on YouTube as well. Like people will post a question, say, I'm working with this saint and blank, like the name of the saint. What kind of offerings should what should I give them as offerings? And it's like, I don't know. Only you know. And here's my guidelines to offerings that you can make to your saint. And see, so I think I jumped ahead a little bit. So you find a patron saint, or you find a patron saint you want to work with. The next thing I'm going to say really is specific to you. Are you watching me and needing a patron saint because you're having a crisis, you're having a struggle? Well, then of course the first time you're going to reach out to that saint is to ask for their help. And that's fine. That's fine. It's absolutely fine. That's what they're there for. There's no one better than a saint to reach out to for a struggle, because a saint used to be a human being. They lived on this earth, and they are well versed in the human condition. So that is like, I will always promote saints as who you reach out to in times of need. And it's perfectly fine, it's perfectly okay, and it's perfectly acceptable to reach out to a saint for the very first time because you need their help. Again, that's their purpose. That's their reason for being. And on the flip side, if you're not having a real need right now, but you do feel the need instead to find out who your patron saint is. Find a patron saint for yourself, and you don't know how to interact with them. The first thing you could do is an offering. Is introduce yourself. Literally, you do a little ritual where you introduce yourself to the patron saint. It could even be almost like dating, where you tell them a little bit about yourself. You tell them what brought you to them, what you think you have in common with each other. And then, now we can talk about offerings. I like to give offerings to my saints, and I say them in plural because you will find that, you can have a patron saint, which is your main go-to, but once you start practicing folk magic, saint magic, you will find, like I have literally a group of consultants. And it's a consultant, I treat them as consultants. I approach them as consultants. And now we can finally get to what I was going to say about offerings. It doesn't, you could look up, you could look up in a book to see what offerings are appropriate. And this is appropriate is the part that really trips up a lot of people. There are people that have not made offerings to their saints because they don't know what the right offering is. Because there are some traditions that will say that if you offer the wrong thing to your spirit, you will anger them. I am only speaking about saints. And I'm only speaking about saints because this is my experience. Saints, in my experience, have never turned down an offering, have never been offended by an offering, and I've never gotten the impression that we're angered by an offering. But I'm not speaking about all spirits, I'm only speaking about saints. Something special to you that you wish to share is an offering. Anything at all that is special to you is an offering that you can offer your saint. Something made by you with great care is also an offering. An act of charity is an offering. So you've asked your saint for something, and as an offering, you donate money to the food bank. You find, saints usually have charities attached to them. Find out what charity is attached to your saint, if that's the case, and an act of charity there. But an act of charity isn't just financial. An act of charity would also be checking in on your elderly neighbor that lives alone to make sure they're okay. That's an act of charity. It's also an act of service. It's which is also an offering to your saint. Act of charity, act of service, checking on someone who lives alone, making a meal for someone who's grieving, and bringing food to a family that's grieving, mowing your neighbor's lawn who's not able to because they have an autoimmune condition and they're unable to physically mow their own lawn. These acts of charity and acts of service, they don't cost you anything, and they leave the person's life that you touched better, and it's like your patron saint gets to work through you, and your patron saint will love you for it. Lighting a candle, then there's like simple things like lighting a candle. I usually have that altar, I'll have those votives burning as an offering. Just gratitude, happy that things are cool, things are going okay. Lighting a candle, burning incense, your favorite food or beverage, okay? your favorite food or beverage. With saints, I remember asking Saint Expedite for something, and I put a shot of bourbon on my altar, and it evaporated in record time, people. I think Saint Expedite was happy with the bourbon. Favorite food. And your favorite food also ties into acts of charity, acts of service, right? Where you prepare your favorite meal to bring to someone who is living alone and otherwise wouldn't cook for themselves, family that's grieving. You see what I'm saying, right? This is all incorporated into your saint magic and your relationship with your patron saint. Your favorite flower. Me, I don't know why I need to mention this, but I can't with the cut flowers. The only cut flowers that go on my altar are lilacs because they're fleeting anyway. And occasionally carnations or daisies because they're very robust and resilient. But I can't with the cut flowers, people. I can't watch them die. I find that watching flowers decay doesn't make me feel good. But I will plant in my garden flowers as an offering. Sing a song. Sing a song to your saint. Sing a song, and it can be your favorite song. You know what I mean? It's like it could be any song. It doesn't have to be a religious song. Just sing a song. Music, singing is universal. It's pleasurable. It's pleasurable to everyone who hears singing. That's why we go and watch people sing. That's why we play music to listen to for enjoyment. Play a piece of music on the instrument that you play. Read a poem. Draw a picture. People, I'm not an artist. At least I'm not talented in drawing, right? So that's wrong, because we are all artists. We just need to find out what our art is. But I'm not an expert at drawing, but I will draw a picture for my patron saint as an offering. The possibility, there's no limit to these possibilities of what you can offer as an offering to your patron saint or any saints that you are working with. Anything that you give from the heart with love and gratitude is an offering. So go out there armed with this list, find your patron saint, and start getting to know them. Thank you so much for tuning in. Wherever you are in the world, I'm sending you many blessings, much love, and have a beautiful day. Take care.